I've got a discrete issue, which is South Australian focused. Is that appropriate at this time?
Go right ahead, Senator McLaughlin.
I don't want to shock you that it might be South Australian focused. I'd like to take us to the previous conversation we've had on the Goolwa River Research Hub. Last time we spoke on this, we had hoped that we'd be more information available at this estimates. So whilst those that are focusing, Mr Daswell, you have this in hand. So last time we gathered, the Minister had announced to some excitement in Goolwa a new research hub. There was $8 million funding, and when we last spoke about it, it was early days and the department was still coming to grips with how it was going to be funded and how it's going to look. Could you enlighten me?
Sure, certainly. Thank you, Senator. So the department's been engaging with the Goolwa Institute for Water Research. So this is the funding for that institute to look at the future implications of climate change for the Lower Murray, Lower Lakes and Coorong and Murray Mouth areas. We've been working also through the Commonwealth Grants Hub to deliver this grant to the institute. The Goolwa Institute submitted a business proposal on the 2nd of May to the Business Grants Hub. We assisted the hub to assess that proposal, and we're now negotiating contractual arrangements with the Goolwa Institute with the intention that they'll be able to start their phase 1 of the research hub program before the end of this financial year.
So how many stages are there going to be?
I might refer to my colleague, Mr McGregor, to answer that question if he's got that detail.
Yes, Angus McGregor, Acting Branch Head of Basins Policy and Science in the department. Thanks, Senator. The proposal received by the Goolwa Research Hub proposes effectively a single stage over the 4-year program.
Right.
And so we have ensured that we've built a mid-program review into the proposed grant agreement. So that we can manage the program adaptively with South Australia. Okay,
yeah. The reason why I asked was I knew it was 4 years.
Yes.
I was just a little bit confused with stages. So is my understanding correct? And I don't ask from any negative perspective. It's the research institute that you're using to run the hub and effectively administer this grant.
That's correct.
That's correct.
The existing Goolwa Institute for Water Research.
Yeah. So you're leveraging existing infrastructure in Goolwa. Yeah. That's a positive thing. And have we settled on what the key performance indicators are for the grant?
Yeah, so further to your line of questioning, in February, the proposal that was put forward by the Institute proposed a benefits realisation approach to performance, and so a quadruple bottom line, cultural, social, environmental, economic, that would be tracked and measured through an interim and annual reporting mechanism. So that would include a description of performance during the reporting period, an update on the research program itself, a summary of meetings, key guidance and research decisions by governance groups, a report on expenditure, and details around the communications and engagement activities. So the KPIs would be framed in that way.
Okay. I have some minor queries, but are you in? And these come from constituents, so bear with me. Is any of the funding going for rental premises? It's a small town, and they're interested whether new premises are going to be taken up.
So that there's a clear expectation that there will be a research hub with a presence in Goolwa.
So a physical presence.
Presence in Goolwa.
Yeah.
And while that's largely a matter for the Goolwa, we do understand that they're under active consideration around locations.
So if I was going to ask questions about the more practical aspects, I go to the Institute myself. Yeah, it's fine.
And Senator, one of the conditions will be that where possible, they can they draw on the local services in terms of providing support for projects and so forth.
Yes, there's great interest on the ground, which is both from the point of view of the research, but also the practical implications, given it's a small, effective village. The Minister did mention that there's going to be a boost to the local economy. Do we have any visibility on how that's going to realise itself?
So I think that's the points we're going
that's the
to, the
point.
physical presence and,
Yeah.
and the preference to, where possible, use local service providers,
Yeah.
and also
Right.
utilising the services of the First Nations and community to help deliver some of the
Yes.
projects.
I was thinking more broadly, including our local Indigenous communities. Are you when you say local services, I mean you mean you're not meaning researchers, are you? Or is it part of the economic boost that researchers are being attracted to the region? I'm just trying to distinguish between your standard services, which would come from a small town providing sustenance, and I mean that in the broader sense rather than to a research hub, versus an influx of researchers staying there for a period, or it's too early to say.
I think certainly the former.
Yes.
And the focus on the former in terms of local service providers wherever possible, including that physical presence.
Yes.
But how far that extends in terms of research staff is sort of something that Goida will have to work through. And we do have a requirement built into the hub to require transparency from Goida around the research staff recruited for the program.
Yeah, great.
So, Senator, I think some of this reflects the fact that there's kind of direct benefit and then there's indirect benefit as well.
Yeah.
So it's challenging for us to get a good handle on the indirect benefit until probably after
Correct.
the funding has been invested.
I was just
but
interested.
Substantial.
There was, in the early days, to be fair, it wasn't clear whether there's going to be an influx of researchers or not, and that depends on the research project. So it's starting to firm up. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I do get asked a lot, and I'm in that area, so there is some excitement, which is good. So when are we looking to start getting things going? Probably next couple of months, or?
Yes,
I think
certainly
you will.
before the end of the financial year, we're looking to finalise the agreement with Goida
Right.
and have payments flow.
Okay.
So the funding profile will be over the 4
4-year
financial
period.
years
Yeah.
with that mid-program review.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing from you at the next estimates and see how we're going.
Senator, I might just
Yeah.
add that there is the next step is to develop that research program, and that'll be
Yes.
the focus for the next
Correct.
6 months with First Nations representatives and community members and so forth.
Thank you.